It is official. Wheels have touched ground in Oxnard, California. The Dallas Cowboys have arrived for Training Camp 2022, and we're back with another episode of Inside Cowboys Training Camp, driven by Ford. Alongside Britt Johnson, I'm Kyle Youmans here from DallasCowboys.com. In the Globe Life Studios at the Star in Frisco, we will join the Cowboys team out there in California starting tomorrow. We're right around the corner.
Yes.
It's here.
I need to get some fresh air, some Southern California air.
It's better than this 110-degree Texas air, for sure.
Maybe just a little bit.
The Cowboys are going to certainly take advantage of that. Mike McCarthy, of course, going back for his second season in Oxnard, his third season as head coach for the Cowboys. Let's take a look at his first week of scheduled events that happen, of course, starting with the opening ceremonies starting on Saturday. But they have an opening press conference tomorrow, Tuesday afternoon, or Tuesday morning, rather. They will start with the press conference. That's really the starter gun to get everything off the ground for training camp. And then practices, of course, open to the public all week long. It's your first opportunity to see the Dallas Cowboys live and in person. Couple guys missing off of the list, including Michael Gallup at the wide receiver position. We'll talk about that later on with Rob Phillips. But first, let's talk about who has more pressure on them to perform this season. The offensive side of the football, of course, led by offensive coordinator Kellen Moore, or defensive side Dan Quinn, coming off of a fantastic season.
I am going to say offense because the top 5 earners on the team, 4 of those guys, you have Dak Prescott, Zeke, you have Dalton Schultz, and you have Tyron Smith, are all top paid guys. So all the money has been put into the offense on this Cowboys team. They were number 1 in total yards last season. They were number 2 in pass yards last season, and it still did not translate to wins all the time. We did not make it, past the first round of the playoffs. So I think more pressure is going to be on offense because, listen, if I'm paying somebody, they better be playing.
Do you feel like there's been a little bit too much of, let's just say, overall criticism surrounding the offense since they did have numbers like that last year?
Criticism, no. I think the criticism is well-deserved. When you're getting paid that kind of money and, you have the experience behind it, you should be producing. And, I think they have a great team. I think there's a couple, moving pieces that we have. Obviously, we'll talk about some of that later on in the show. But I think the Cowboys offense, you need to do something here.
Got to figure it out.
Together.
Get back into a rhythm that they had in the early half of the season. And this is really the first time we've entered a training camp in quite some time with question marks surrounding the offense. Of course, you do have the core members back, like Dak Prescott, Ezekiel Elliott. No more Amari Cooper. CeeDee Lamb expected to step up into that number 1 tight end role. Who else is going to make an impact as we head out to Oxnard, and what position groups are up to grabs? Let's talk to Rob Phillips about some position battles in Southern California.
Inside Cowboys Training Camp, presented by Ford, is brought to you by AT&T, official sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys. Sleep Number, and by Ford F-Series, the best-selling truck in Texas. This segment is brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors, official sporting goods retailer of the Dallas Cowboys.
Now that the Cowboys are officially back in Oxnard, California, that means it's officially time to welcome Rob Phillips in to Inside Cowboys Training Camp, presented by Ford. And, of course, you got to talk about some position battles, especially this early on. A lot of question marks around this roster, both on the offensive and defensive sides, like we talked about in that opening segment. But I want to hear from you specifically. What is the position you have your eye most on this early in camp?
Wide receiver. It's got to be wide receiver, and not only because it's just one of the most fun positions to watch in training camp. Pads finally come on. You get to see CeeDee Lamb try to repeat what he did last year in camp when he was probably the MVP out in Oxnard. But this is a group with some question marks. They've got talent. They've got young guys coming in. Jalen Tolbert, James Washington signing from the Steelers, who's got probably the best opportunity he's had since coming in the NFL to get some snaps. But this reminds me a little bit of 2018, guys, when Dez Bryant was released and they had to find production replacing him. Now, it's better than 2018. CeeDee Lamb's a Pro Bowler. They feel good about him. But with Michael Gallup quite possibly going to miss week 1, maybe a little more time than that coming off the ACL last year, who steps up? That's the question mark. Might be Jalen Tolbert, needs to be Jalen Tolbert. James Washington, Noah Brown's a returning guy, and Simi Fehoko. Those are guys to watch.
there might not be a guy that is as explosive as Micah Parsons was as a rookie last year, but do you think there are going to be any rookies that are going to start this season for the Dallas Cowboys?
Oh, that's a good one. Don't hold me to it. Okay. It's early. We're not in pads yet.
Won't, I promise.
I'll make some predictions. I do think we spoke about Jalen Tolbert a minute ago. I would say, especially if Michael Gallup's not ready for week one, I could definitely see him as one of the top 3 receivers. You can count the top 3 as much 3 wide as teams play and the Cowboys play in the NFL. Tyler Smith's another guy to watch for sure at the offensive line. And Sam Williams as well. Maybe not a starter right away. The Cowboys have some veteran guys in that pass rushing rotation, but maybe someone with his talent, his natural pass rush ability, someone to watch as the season goes on as a pass rusher. But Tyler Smith at left guard, that seems like it's a fit. They want him to play right away. There's an opening at left guard, and we'll see what happens there. And I mentioned Jalen Tolbert's got to step up to help out at wide receiver too.
You mentioned this when you were talking about the wide receivers. There's so many question marks and holes and really turnover with that position. Is there another position that has just as much to prove outside of that wide receiver spot?
Yeah, offensive line has a lot to prove, I think. And this is a really proud group going back several years. They've been the rock for this offense for years, and it starts with Tyron Smith, it starts with Zach Martin, but when you look at this line, they're more in transition than they have been a few years ago. It started with Travis Frederick retiring a couple years ago, and now you look at the line, there are more young players in this group than established veterans. So we mentioned Tyler Smith trying to win a job, Terrence Steele trying to take a step forward at right tackle, and Tyler Biadasz at center. So if you go all the way back to last season, they will admit they didn't play to the standard they wanted to last year. Look at the number of times Dak was pressured in the playoff game against the 49ers. And the running game falling off last year, partly because Ezekiel Elliott was banged up. That's all things they want to get back to. If we're talking about the offense taking a step forward, I think it starts with being up front, successful in winning the line of scrimmage.
Lots of opportunity on that offensive line. Lots of opportunity for the youth of this Cowboys team. Again, Rob Phillips for the first time on Inside Cowboys Training Camp. When we come back, we are back. When we come back this time, what other rookies can make an impact when they get out to the West Coast?
This segment was brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors, official sporting goods retailer of the Dallas Cowboys. Inside Cowboys Training Camp, presented by Ford, was brought to you by AT&T, official sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys. Sleep Number, and by Ford F-Series, the best-selling truck in Texas.
Clearly the most mature group that we've had. I'm very, very, very impressed with the extra time that these young men are here. I mean, they're here throughout the afternoon, the extra meetings, the Zoom meetings. They're here on the weekends. So, I have not been in here over the weekend and have not run into 5, 6, 7 rookies. On Sunday, there's 6 or 7 of them in here. So, I think that's what you're looking for.
Coach Mike McCarthy with plenty of confidence around his rookies in our sound presented by Sleep Number. Back here with Britt Johnson as we wrap things up on Inside Cowboys Training Camp driven by Ford. Let's talk about the rookies, Britt. Which rookie do you have your eye on that can make the most impact in Oxnard?
Listen, Jalen Tolbert, please be my guy. Amari Cooper is gone. Michael Gallup is, timeline, who knows when he's going to come back. I need Jalen Tolbert to step up and be amazing. Let's do this.
I'm going to go to the offensive line. Matt Willetsko, 5th-round pick, and we just talked to Rob Phillips about the offensive line. Lots of back and forth there. He needs to step up as a young guy who could potentially win the swing tackle job. If he does that, it provides a whole lot more confidence for Joe Philbin, Kellen Moore, and that entire offensive staff around what they have in front of Dak Prescott and, of course, the offensive weapons.
I got something for you. Well, let's go to Cali.
Next time we're back on Inside Cowboys Training Camp presented by Ford. We'll be in California. For Britt Johnson, I'm Kyle Youmans. We'll see you out there.